May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another Cuke Audio mini podcast. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable, free from economic hardship, and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So we're going to read another piece from the Haiku Zendo Chronicles, part 2, Memories of Shunryu Suzuki Roshi. So these are like brief memories, right? Of course, we know that Haiku Zendo in Los Altos, California, is where the Zen Mind Beginner's Mind lectures were given. And now it's Kannon-do, moved to a different place, no longer Haiku Zendo, named for the 17 seats in the garage, transformed into the Zendo, the 17 seats like the 17 syllables in a haiku poem. All right. Today's memory of Shunryu Suzuki comes from Gertrude Davenport. After serving the tea ceremony to Suzuki Roshi, one day, in what I felt was an awkward way, I said, "I'm clumsy." I quoted my former teacher Saburo Hasegawa's statement, "If you're born clumsy, it's not bad. And if you're born clever, it's not good." The proper way to serve tea is to find your own way. Roshi smiled in his inimitable way and quietly said, "Yes." My husband and I drove Suzuki Roshi back to his home at the Zen Mission in San Francisco one Thursday morning after our Zazen lecture and breakfast. When we arrived, he asked us in for a cup of tea. His wife served us tea, and we invited them to have lunch in our garden sometime. Mrs. Suzuki immediately replied, "When?" We said any time would be fine with us, whereupon she went to a large calendar hanging on the wall and said, "A week from Saturday at 1 o'clock. And could we bring friends?" I was startled and asked how many. "One," she said. Suzuki Roshi sat with a twinkle in his eye and smiled, amused at his wife's efficient way. Yeah, that was that Haiku Zendo, that was a great experience for him. It was different from his relationship with people in the city at the Zendo, because they would come to his home, right? He lived at Sokoji, and it was always fairly formal. There was zazen, there was service, there was lecture, there was Saturday when there'd be breakfast served in the Zendo, and there was a work period on Saturdays. He was in his office, and people could come see him. And early on, there was a time when they had sort of a coffee class. Well, it was a tea class, maybe tea and coffee, where in the very early years, people would have breakfast with him and his wife when she came in the kitchen. And it was more informal and like a little community at first, but in 65 that started getting bigger, and that especially when Mitsu Suzuki came, that which was in 62, or maybe she came in 61, that was reduced. So there was an early period where there was relating with people in a more informal way in there. But then it still was in his home, and it was in their scene. In Los Altos, the Haiku Zendo, he got to experience people in their homes and their gardens, which he loved, and the different type of, social interaction, and it was a great education for him. It was it was sort of, I'd say, upper middle class. It's a pretty expensive area to live in, Los Altos. Of course, not like today. Today, it's insane because of Silicon Valley and all that. But back then, it was a very nice area to live in. Whereas San Francisco, it was cool living in San Francisco. It was great living in Japantown. But you could have, I had rent back in one place in 66 was $75 a month, which even though $75 was worth a lot more, so it still wasn't that much. And then I had a place that was 125. Housing is just gone crazy in America. When I was a kid, poor people, a lot of poor people I knew had homes. Maybe I didn't know them intimately, but I had a paper route. And I'd walk through, like, very poor, like little dirt street, sort of even like shacks, and then nicer sort of very small wooden homes. That's so much of that has gone away to homelessness and, housing projects. Yeah. Well, anyway, though, this was not about that. This was about Suzuki being at the Davenports in Los Altos and then inviting them to tea. Incidentally, 1 o'clock on Saturday, I don't think she's remembering accurately because, well, maybe. Because Saturday was a busy day at Sokoji, and the morning schedule would go, like, it was when you had work and all that, it would go till like noon. And the Los Altos thing was happening about the same point that things started becoming busier in San Francisco, Zen Center, like in 65. So I wonder about 1 o'clock on Saturday. Any other day would be easier to believe. Okay. So this has been a Cuke Audio mini podcast. I'm DC Pupa of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from sleepy Sanur with Dogette Bandita Feline Kutrinka. No, with Dogette Bandita Feline Kuchita and dear lovely Katrinka, and we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.